Greetings, folks. I know what I'm supposed to be talking about today, but in Zulu we say "Indoda umalala ephenduka." So today I'm gonna talk about crypto and the cryptocurrency, especially with relations to FTX and how it went bankrupt. And my position being, you haven't seen nothing yet. So here it is, folks. The way I get so frustrated when it comes to this issue of cryptocurrency and the people who are pushing this thing on us and on other gullible investors. I'm sure by now you are aware that one of the second largest cryptocurrency exchange, FTX, went bankrupt, and there's potentially some criminal liability that was involved, fraud, and all sort of other unsavory stuff happened. And my chat is that people who are putting money in cryptocurrency are still going to lose a lot of money, way lot more money than they've already lost. And my prediction is that more than 95% of people who are investing in cryptocurrency will lose most and sometimes all of the money they put in it. And only around 2% or 5% of the people who are in crypto will make money, and those people, the 2%, will make a lot of money. And the reason why these people are going to make a lot of money, it's because their business is not crypto, but their business is the exchange. That's where the scam is, folks. It's similar to the stock market trading. And when I say stock market trading, making a distinction between trading in the stock market, which is gambling, and investing in the stock market. And because over these years, what has happened is that there are a lot of brokerage firms that have popped up over the years, and subsequently in the past 20 years, a lot of trading softwares that have popped up that people use. And the basic revenue model there is that you pay a fee. Each time you buy a stock, you pay. Each time you sell a stock, you pay. And they're making money. Whether you are making money or you're losing money, they are making money. And they are getting rich. And so this is why you cannot trust people whose entire business model is based on you buying and selling whatever it is that they are exchanging, which is the same thing with FTX. Because every single billionaire that has made their billions in cryptocurrency makes their billions based on the idea that you need to buy and sell cryptocurrency. And it really doesn't matter how much money you lose in cryptocurrency, they're going to continue to make money. And so they are pushing this thing down your throat in order for them to earn these fees. And the more suckers are getting into this, the more money they make. So which is why I'm saying that more than 90% of people who are involved in this thing are still going to lose a lot of money. And then there's the 2% that is running these cryptocurrency exchanges. And right now, with regards to FTX, people are focusing on the fact that there was fraud that was committed, there was client's funds that was embezzled. So the issue is not that crypto, but the issue is fraud. But people who say that, they're misleading you. And the reason why I'm saying they're misleading is because they know that the reason why this guy was able to embezzle all this money was based on the fact that crypto is predicated on the premise of not being regulated. And since it's predicated on the premise of not being regulated, the entire crypto premise is what enabled this fraud. It's part of the problem. It's a big part of the problem. And it's a big part of why people lost the money that they lost. And it's still going to be a big part of why people are going to lose a lot of money going forward. And so to say that, no, the problem is not crypto, the problem is the fraud. But the fraud is enabled by the fact that your selling point that comes to crypto is that, oh, we are unshackled. We are not held by the bondages of governments and their central banks and their regulatory bodies. We are free to sell and buy to each other in this 100% free market that has no rules. And this 100% free for all market that you guys think you have is the reason why you're still going to lose a lot of money. Here's the deal, folks. Here's the deal. And I'm never going to lie to you. Why do we need regulation? Because I think we all agree that there is a need for some regulation in almost in every sector. The reason why we need regulation is it's because regulation is just an admission on our part that the world is not what it should be. And it's an admission that mankind is fallen. And the natural end of a fallen mankind is that he will try to take advantage of others. And so, and people who try to ignore and deny the fact that the world is not what it should be and that mankind is fallen and that mankind will try to take advantage of other people, they fall into these schemes. Because in a situation where there is regulation, then we are able to quantify risk. And if we are able to quantify risk, then we are able to take insurance against that risk. And even though insurance can't cover all of your losses, including losses that come from fraud, but what regulation does is that it removes incentives that enables bad players like this guy, who's a clear fraud. Sam Bankman-Fried. Guy is a total fraud. But in a free-for-all world of cryptocurrency, characters like this are going to thrive, and he won't be the last one. And people are still going to lose money. But for me, the issue for me is not that people are going to lose money from the fraud and crypto. People are going to lose money because crypto is grossly overvalued. And the fact that people who are pushing crypto down your throats still can't explain to you how it derives its value. I've had countless discussions with people who are into cryptocurrency, and they can't explain to you to me or to anyone how it derives its value. There's this idea that, oh no, it's based on the market principles of supply and demand. That's absolute bullshit. We know that it's absolute bullshit because even if things are based on the basic supply demand principles of the economy, you still need to be able to explain the demand function, and you still need to be able to explain the supply function. And if you can't reason and rationally explain these functions independently of each other before you put them at a cross of each other in terms of where you get price or where you get the value of it, that therefore it tells me that you don't understand it. You don't understand at all, because supply and demand aren't just these concepts that are just floating in the air. There's a reason why in macroeconomics, I mean, you go through the process of how to build a demand curve and how to build a supply curve and into all the determinants that go into a particular product or service's demand curve or supply curve. And with crypto they can't properly build that curve for you, any of those curves for you. So which basically means that it's 100% based on the greater fool theory. The greater fool theory, which basically means that during a market bubble, one can make a lot of money by buying overvalued assets and selling them for a profit later, because there's always gonna be someone who's willing to pay a higher price. That's basically what it's based on. Because you cannot tell me why cryptocurrency costs more than a BMW 3 Series. There's absolutely no reason. Because you can get a good BMW 3 Series for $30,000, and you're telling me. And the reason, and just talk about a BMW 3 Series, $30,000. That value, $30,000, can be properly quantified. It can be quantified. So, because even if you go to the bottom of it to say that it's based on demand, that demand curve can be deconstructed and can be explained. And you can't do the same with crypto. I can use the same example, for instance, I use a MacBook, and now MacBooks are notoriously expensive, obviously. But even with the issue of why MacBooks are expensive, it's not just some airy-fairy idea of some unknowable quantity of demand. It can be quantified. Like with MacBooks, for instance, just the basic hardware quality of a MacBook on its own justifies the price. And secondly, if you compare a MacBook to a high-end Microsoft, to a high-end Windows, a laptop, you pretty much get the similar prices, which means it is comparable to other similarly placed products who have a similar performance. And in this case, it's similar performance in terms of hardware. Because if you get a high-end Toshiba, which make really great high-end laptops, by the way, a high-end Dell, Lenovo, those computers have, and I'm talking about the very high end of those laptops. They basically have prices that are similar at least to a MacBook Air, because a MacBook Pro is a lot more expensive, maybe by 1,500 rand, $1,500 more than a MacBook Air. So you can go down the line of products or services, and demand can be quantified in a manner that or at least most of that demand curve can be properly quantified. And the crypto's demand curve, most of it can be quantified. Most of it is purely based on FOMO. And there is also a concept of that there are investment strategies that are purely based on FOMO. That people invest in certain investments or certain asset classes or certain investment instruments based on the fear of missing out, on the concept of saying, if I don't get into this thing, what if it blows up? But that is not an investment strategy. That is not an investment strategy at all. Putting money on something with a lot of, like, your money, your savings, putting your children's future, your future into something that you don't understand, and the people who are pushing it on you don't understand, can't explain it to you, based on the fact that you think that if you don't, it might blow up and you might lose. You still can't explain to me that, okay, if all of the currencies in the world, because I mean, if a currency is basically, it's a ratio, because currencies are ratios. For instance, okay, let me put it to you this way: if, for instance, you have a banana, I have an apple, I want to exchange it, and to say, okay, maybe a banana is worth an apple and a half. That is a ratio. It's a ratio that is measured though in apples. To say 1.5 apples is equal to a banana. So currencies are basically ratios like that too. But also these currencies, okay, it's called fiat money, but it's not exactly fiat, as some people like to make us. Oh yeah. This paper money is also based on nothing. Nah, folks, nah, not true, not true. There's a reason behind the value of the pound, for instance. There's a reason behind it. And even if you're saying, okay, it's just paper money, it's not $30,000 or $40,000. What it is, I know a pound is like 1.2, $1.5. Like even gold, if you say, okay, gold is based on the value of gold is based on its ability to store value. It's not the entire truth. Gold is a unique metal that has some very distinct metallurgical properties that make it valuable. It's the same reason also why platinum, it's not just that, okay, platinum is expensive because it's a rare element. Platinum is expensive because it has some very unique properties that are so unique and so useful and helpful in industry, that the utility not of platinum, but the utility of the properties that platinum has, put us in a place that we can quantify its demand curve. Same thing with gold. I mean, gold is mostly used today on as a catalyst. And I could probably say that probably 30 to 40% of the value of gold right now is based on the fact that we use gold as a catalyst. And same thing with platinum. It's used as a catalyst, but it's also used in many other industrial uses that I won't go into, which it's not the entirety of the value, but I'd say 30 to 40% of the value is based on that. Catalytic converters in cars, platinum. Gold is used a lot in the oil and gas industry as a gold based catalyst, for certain high temperature processes that without gold would literally be impossible. And so that in large part goes into building the demand curve for gold. And so these are things that have actual use in our day-to-day lives. But you can't tell me two or even three building blocks of the demand curve for crypto. It's all based on faith. It's BS. And because of that, a lot of you are gonna lose money. I'm warning you, folks. I'm warning you. Stop this. Really stop this. At the very least, I'm gonna tell you, if you go into a casino to gamble, at the very least, you know that you're not gonna use your salary, you're not gonna use your savings, you're not gonna take a loan, and go to Las Vegas to gamble, all of that. At least people had some sense that when they go to a casino, they go to a casino with a budget. And this budget would ordinarily be less than 2% of their monthly earnings. This is why also gambling is often done by very rich people who can afford to lose a lot of money. But at the very least, they know that they're gambling. And the problem with this crypto thing is that people have this illusion that they're investing. And the entirety of the value proposition of this thing can't be explained. I'm warning you. Whether it's if it, whether it's crypto, whether it's NFTs, if you can't explain to me how it derives its value, then you do not understand it. You do not understand it. And if you are making money from the exchange of these new instruments, at the very least, you need to be honest with your clients that the reason why you are pushing it on them is so that you can make money through exchange. Because the person who controls the exchange always wins. Because whether you buy or you sell, whether you win or you lose, they always make money. That's really where the scam is. That's where the scam is with investment banks. That has been understood for the past 40 years. That's why for me, investment banks and investment banks are some of the, the, the worst forms of human beings there are out there. I hate investment banks, and I do not like investment bankers, if I'm going to use it in a more politically correct, because of what they represent. And even though investment banking, for instance, is more regulated, it's based on the same principle of what's going on with crypto exchanges. But the problem with crypto is that it's probably 10 times worse. Folks, I'm warning you. Be warned. Let this FTX story be a cautionary tale, but I know that you'll never learn. You'll never learn. If you haven't learned from Enron, if you haven't learned from the 2008 market crash, where banks were doing some of the most unethical things because they were making money through the mortgage-backed securities, which are also basically a scam. Also, issue with mortgage-based securities is that they they couldn't tell you how to derive their value. You had the entire congressional like whatever hearing after 2008 to try to understand what happened, and then they went through the entire process of what happened, how they ended up losing money. They were selling homes to people who were not qualifying for them, and then they packaging these home loans and slicing them and dicing them and then selling them to investors as if they were these AAA grade investment instruments. And then when you come down to it, is that they themselves can't value these instruments. They couldn't value them then, they can't value them now. And that was the problem with things that you can't value them, and if you can't value them, then why are you selling them to investors? Why are you selling them to investors? Why are you selling them to governments who are taking pensions of hundreds of thousands of their public sector employees and putting them into these instruments that you can't value? That was really what the scam was in 2008. So not even a single PhD, economics PhD or finance PhD that can explain to you rationally and coherently and clearly, succinctly, how do you value mortgage-backed securities. They can't explain it to you. But the fact that they can't explain it to you has not stopped them from selling it to investors. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Is happening with crypto. And people just never learn. I'm starting to realize that a lot of people they're just dumb. That's the only thing that I can conclude with regards to this. Because if you have a history of all these bad decisions that people have made, institutional investors have made, governments have made, lost millions and billions of rands in the process, people lost their lives, lost their livelihoods, lost their homes, and you're still doing the same thing now with we have a new shiny object. Oh, we don't know how to fail it. Folks. I don't know. Whatever, man. Please leave a comment. Tell me how you disagree and why you disagree with me. I can't really cover the full extent of my thoughts with regards to crypto in this video. This was just a little rant that I went through. I'm planning to write a book, but that's a story for another day. But leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon. But leave comments below. Just tell me your experience with this crypto crazed people, or your experience with any other of this fish oil investment products that people are selling to people. And tell me, what do you think is going on with crypto? Are you willing to put money in it? How much of your money are you willing to put in it? Why? Where do you think I got it wrong? Yeah, then I'll catch you soon.